emotional intelligence movement over the last 5 to 10 years has been focusing on the fact that high IQ is good, but interpersonal skills and teamwork are just as important. It makes us ask the question, what does being smart really mean these days? And there's a lot of science and good words written on the subject, but it boils down to the fact that actually being a better human being is going to make you a better leader. So are we working on that? And as management development professionals, are we supporting people on that journey? And here, self-knowledge is critical. What are my strengths and weaknesses? How well do we know ourselves, knowing that the most difficult thing in the world is to see ourselves as others do? And the more stress we're under, the more we revert to type. Can we manage and moderate this? So how do we build these skills in these 3 areas of knowing, doing, and being? Well, as all of us know, learning to lead is a long game. It's not a short game. Business schools tend to focus on the knowing bit, which is great for turning out consultants and strategists, but it's not enough for developing practicing managers who need to understand their effectiveness and to be working on their self-awareness as well. We get lots of training to be critical. We can consume case studies till the cows come home. But on Monday morning, when there's a meltdown, do you know what to do? Do you know what to say to your people? Do you know how to engage your team? And the reality is that most leaders don't arrive at their leadership capability through theory. And that's a direct quote from the University of the Bleeding Obvious. Doing leadership stuff is necessary. We need to do this stuff. Leadership is a very risky occupation, but we need to try things out. Active experimentation is a key component of developing our leadership skills, and yes, that often feels personally very risky, but it's absolutely critical if we're going to optimize our effectiveness as leaders. I don't want to bang on endlessly about leadership development methodologies, but I guess if there was one skill we need to make a greater commitment to today, it's synergy. What do I mean? Making the whole greater than the sum of the parts. Figuring things out in this new world that we've talked about is hard. There are no really easy answers. The world is full of grey. We have to try and think in this fog, and I think a really important rule of thumb moving forward is to go from either or to both and. It helps make the answers bigger. Managing these tensions is critical if we're going to move out of the zero-sum game that organisations have been operating in and which has served them very poorly. For example, the tension between art versus commerce, economic efficiency versus social justice, vocational versus academic, work versus life, the tension between the analyst and the artist, employee goals versus business goals. These are the tensions that leaders today need to be able to manage. And apparent conflicts they are, but these are the gauntlets that have been thrown down at our feet. Traditional management thinking tends to pit these things against one another. And for as long as we see these tensions as trade-offs, we're going to stay stuck, because it's not always necessary to trade off between these things. The solution lies in connecting the two issues. The payoff comes from refusing an either-or choice and connecting them. And leaders feel this personally all day, the tension around being strong but revealing your weaknesses, building a community but keeping your distance. Is this person an anchor or a millstone? It's hard to do, but I think it's going to be one of the key skills of effective leaders in the 21st century, moving beyond either or and understanding both and. I'm not forgetting, of course, that all good learning also requires getting honest feedback. Our best development tool, get lots from someone who cares about you and your success, coaches, colleagues, friends and family. We all have flaws that are flip sides of our strengths. We need to make sure we get a really good look at these. People want to be led by real people, and real people have flaws. So we need to get over ourselves about the fact that we're not perfect, because everyone else knows it. And I should have you know that I'm really bad at this. It's so embarrassing being the chief executive of the Institute of Leadership and Management and to be so clumsy at all this. I hate feedback, for example. I hate people telling me I'm terrible at things. I get bored, I don't listen, I'm critical, I get frustrated with slower pace, I'm a control freak, I don't communicate enough. So rest assured, I have a very long list of development opportunities that I work on myself every day. Listen, to wrap up, I do believe you can go and make a difference as a leader and a manager where your head and your heart take you, and put your energy into being the best you can be if you learn to read your compass. And again, other than the either or, both and dichotomy, I think this is going to be the heartland for leaders moving forward. These are the things we expect them to be able to deliver on. I think we have a moral compass, an existential compass, and a relational compass. My moral compass makes me answer, am I acting with integrity? What are the principles that guide my leadership? Am I being honest with myself and others? Is my work congruent with who I am? Am I being frank about my strengths and weaknesses? It does mean not ducking from looking in the mirror, even though it's uncomfortable viewing. My existential compass is for those, what's it all about, Alfie moments? Do you have those? I do. Can I answer that? Do I know what I'm doing here? Do I feel passionate about this? Do I have the courage to ensure that it amounts to more than a hill of beans at the end of the day? Where and how will I make a difference? My relational compass is about the investment we make to create enduring relationships. It's so important as leaders. All relationships atrophy if they don't get invested in. That's just what relationships do. They take time and attention. What am I taking for granted? What am I drawing on? Who am I investing? And who am I serving well or poorly? So anyway, here I am, 12 months into my new job as CEO of ILM, and I'm enormously proud and privileged to be leading the largest provider of management qualifications across Europe with a membership base of 30,000 practicing managers, because we do make a real difference, helping leaders and managers live with the complexity and ambiguity that's in today, and not only survive it, but to thrive in it, to support them and their organisations to be the best they can be. And it's important because we know that good leadership and management hold the key to organisational effectiveness and social and economic prosperity. That's the purpose of my leadership. That's what I'm doing here. Getting results is the end game. I want to get superior performance from my team so we can positively impact organisational effectiveness and social and economic prosperity. So I'd like to end to summarise the challenge of developing leaders today by using a metaphor, because I think they can encapsulate ideas often better than words. I believe what we're being sensitised to the moment is the jazz of organisational life. In the future, we're likely to need to appreciate jazz to a much greater extent than we do today. We're just being loosened up for it now. The difference between the organisations of today and tomorrow, similar to the difference, I think, between classical music and jazz. One is structured and able to be appreciated, dissected intellectually. The other is spontaneous, appears often discordant and chaotic, but in itself is profoundly sophisticated and complex, and at the same time liberating. Why this metaphor has meaning for me is that the two kinds of music are created very differently. For a start, with jazz there is rarely a conductor. Jazz players are the ultimate self-managing team. They improvise, they support one another's solos, they innovate as they go along. No single rendition is ever quite the same as the next. The notes they don't play are as important as the ones they do. Very often it's the minor chords that we play as leaders that amplify. The music itself is very fluid, very free form. It's not always planned. The surprises and the innovation is what amazes and delights, and the chaos is terrifying. The technical expertise is simply a given, and as per all good leadership, it's the interpretation that is critical. Thank you.